What's going on YouTube? You know, it's your boy Top Deck TJ, and we're here with a well-respected player of George. He is one of the best players in Vegas, multiple tops. You know, he does his thing. What we playing here today?
So I just won the People's Card Shop case tournament
Yeah,
with pure Snake Eyes.
You got like 5 boxes, right?
5 bad boxes of Phantom Nightmare.
Yeah.
Yep, put my third Populous. That was it.
So what did you end up playing for your rounds?
So my rounds were a Rescue against Top Deck TJ.
Hey.
A Mirror, so pure Snake Eyes. Voiceless Voice, Fire King, and then back-to-back mirrors for 5th and 6th round.
Okay, so you kind of struggled out here.
I did be playing that
You
mirror.
saw meta only.
Meta the whole way.
Literally meta.
Yeah. So,
All right.
I'm not a fraud. I'm not a fraud.
Anything else you wanted to say before we got into this deck profile here?
Just shout out to my boys. You know, everyone that helped me test, everyone that helped me with theory. Marlon, Quinn, Joaquin, Carlos, all the boys in Discord that told me I'm trash. You know, keep me humble.
Oh man.
Everyone that supported me along the way, Brendan, Domingo. Who else we got?
You just naming the whole shop now.
Just the whole shop. Everyone that go to People Card Shop. I love you guys.
Hey, shout out to the people.
guys.
All right, George, we're gonna go ahead and get in right into this. Let's go ahead and start it.
All right, for sure. So obviously it's pure Snake Eyes. We're playing 3 Ash, 2 Oak, 1 for starting play, 1 that you search on your opponent's turn for your full follow-up. After your first turn, this is your best normal summon because this represents both of these summons and a body, right? 2 Populous, and the 1 Birch. There's an argument for Souls over Birch. Souls lets you get access into your Diabell Star, then you're forced to kind of play the Selene in the extra deck, but it also gives you like more link climbing lines, easy to negate Appaloosas. I went with just the Birch because I just wanted to keep it as, you know, consistent as possible. This is still a Snake Eyes name. It's still a fire for when you're fire locked. It being a quick effect is actually really funny. You can just kind of summon this, ending your board with it, and just, you know, chaining, say, a Baron, a Savage, or even like a Flamebird targeting something to spell trap. They interact with it with a Chalice or Imperm or Droplets or something, and you can just blink it away, get an Ash, grab follow-up, and still resolve your effect. So it not being on your turn kind of sucks, but it being quick effect does come up if you know how to play it. This is the Snake Eyes line, and then obviously the 2 big boys. There are combos you can play where you only use 1 in your first turn, but just having 2 like always in rotation, either like if they're both engraved, this is always your put back off of original, just so you can keep cycling the resource. You never want to what do you call it? You never want to be without it. You always want to be triggering it as much as you can. So this is really your card.
Do these belong to you?
Yeah, it's mine. Thanks, bro.
No problem.
3 Diabell. It's actually just your extender. Anytime you start with one of these, it's a weaker line because now your original is getting into your Snake Eyes instead of the actual card you want, which is the Jet. So the way you want to play this deck is you want to be bonfiring and ashing to do your like half combo, and then your original you want to be getting into Jet Synchron because 1 Jet Synchron represents 3 Synchros. One of them is Formula, but that's still a draw and lets you get into your Baron real quick. Starting with this isn't terrible, it just means that like you don't have access to this. And the reason to play this over Fire King, aside from the fact that the Fire King cards are essentially bricks except for like the Kieran, is you get to play this as your original target, and this gets to put up Omni Negate. So you're not just like folding to Cosmics, to Droplets, to, well, Droplets does, like if you can play around it with like a wanted set or an Imperm, or Tactics or Evenly. You're not just folding to those cards, right? And it's all because of this one card. These, however, this is a brick. If you draw this with this, funny enough, this becomes not a brick, because then this becomes your normal summon, and this becomes your original, and they just kind of swap roles. But this is a brick, and these are also bricks, as long as you don't draw both of them. You can summon from hand, but you know you never want to summon these from hand. Hand traps, we got 2 Droll, 2 Veiler, 3 Ash, 3 Nib, and the 3 Imperm in the back.
Okay, I have a question.
Yeah.
How do you feel about the Droll currently?
So, I've got the 1 in the side, right? And the reasoning is Droll sucks against Snake Eyes cards. Stop drolling this deck. Like, it's not real because it never stops them, right? You go Ash, you get Populous, they droll you. You summon Populous, you link into Link Karibo, Ash links off, you get Oak, Oak brings back, and you just have 5 bodies, right? So the only thing Ash really, or this really stopped was you getting into another body, which is usually your non-Snake Eyes engine, right? Which is why I say it sucks against Snake Eyes. It's good against everything else, right? But if I'm playing pure Snake Eyes, this card isn't real against me. But if I'm playing Fire King and you stop me here, now you're stopping me from going original into chicken, chicken into continuous, continuous into field spell, search your combo and keep going. That's when it's good. But if you droll them, they're still going to set up a good board off of these. I wanted this for everything else, basically. I wanted this for Voiceless. I wanted this for Manadium, which I did play. I actually lied to you, huh? Yeah, my second game was Manadium, not a mirror. My bad. It was Manadium. That's what it was. It was against Carlos. So I drew this against Manadium, and that was an FTK. But against, like, this deck, it's really only good in combination. So if you hit them with a Droll and then slam a Nibiru like a little bit later, that's when it's good. If you hit them with a Droll and they hard open the original and you hit them with this, that's when it's good. Or on the Ash, right? But on its own, it's really weak.
Okay.
Obviously, the best hand trap right here, these boys.
You're only saying that because I misplayed? And we're not going to talk about it too much. I did not put that bonfire
occasionally
in that spot.
Occasionally this says negate bonfire, but
yeah.
Only 5. Not because it's bad. I just wanted to make room for the two Droll, and I wanted to keep the deck count low. This is the best hand trap. This one is the worst version of this, just because of timing reasons and because of tactics. So you really want to be hitting this, but you want 5 because 40 cards, 5 cards. You'll see one of them in your opening more often than you won't. So 5 is good here. This just hits every matchup. Hits Rogue. Hits Labyrinth. It's mirrors. Like, it's just, this card is just too good. Like, there's never, like, really a chance when Ash is just not a good card. It can get sided out for better cards, but matchup dependent. And then, obviously, the Rock is the Rock. People can play around it, people can play into it, but in combination with other hand traps, Rock and something else is kind of just killer, right? Rock Droll, Rock Imperm, Rock Ash just ends every deck. Except for, like, you know, Labyrinth and Voiceless, but that's where these come in. So, worst case scenario, you can always pitch it to Diabell Star, right?
Fair.
That's the monsters. Ugh, fatty monster stack. Spells, pure Snake Eyes, so we got the 1 and 2. There's a argument for just the 1 original, but I feel like having 2 originals is just always so clean. Like, you never want to be without it. Even, like, if you're bottoming, if you're banishing it to bottom something in search and then bottoming this to draw, having the second original in hand, like, doesn't suck. Like, you're getting it for free anyway off of the Populous on their turn, so it's just always good. Having it in hand, having it engraved, and just like, having the option of like which one you want to be doing is really nice. And this card is just a god card. This card's amazing. There's so many games that I won over the course of the event where like I just had a board of like Flamberge and the snakes, and then this on board, and I just go battle. 3K, 2K, 18, 19, and they just die, right? It's just really clean. It lets you play around tactics as well. You can have certain matchups where you put 2 things in the spell trap zone. So you pop IP or Formula out with this, and then you just Flameberg out whatever the fire you put in, just like the chain block or whatever. So then the fire you put in is like an Ash or an Oak or a Populous again. So you're just getting another search before you even have to trigger your Flameberg. So they're just really clean. One of the arguments is cutting this for a Subversion, the original Snake Eyes card, which I don't hate. I actually love that card, but it's just like, it's so-so, because if you go into a Snake Eyes matchup, the removal isn't real, right? You're flipping, you're targeting something, you're putting in the spell trap zone, and they go, okay, Flameberge target, and they bring it right back, right? So it's good in the not Snake Eyes matchups, but when you're playing Case Tournament, you're expecting to play the Snake Eyes matchups more than anything. The tax. These are expensive now, apparently. So, very sorry, everybody. The Fire King version can get away with without these, because you can play like the Nadir package, which is, you know, doesn't search and summon and draw a card, but you know, we work with what we can. One thing I see a lot of people do, and I really advise not doing it, if you open like this, don't activate this in draw phase. You're essentially playing a 4-card hand. With this, you normal summon this, your opponent knows it. If you do this in draw phase, you're now playing a 3-card hand, and they know you have the extender, so it makes them play their hand traps weird. Whereas if you don't do this, they might hand trap this in a way they would, like they might ash this, and then you go, okay, activate. Now they don't ash this, they don't ash original, they start with this because they might think your hand is weaker because you're showing them less information. So this card already beats Droll and Lockbird, and it lets you extend past Droll and Lockbird on so you can get your original since you're not getting off Populous. So please don't do this in draw phase. Like if it's your only play, like you don't have any snakes, do it in draw phase. If it's not, if you have anything else to start with, hold this. It's an extender. You don't want to show them you have the extender early. 3 of the God card. This card's actually just like the entire format. Like, every time I draw this, it's good. Going first, you're going to get hand trapped, because if you don't get hand trapped, your board is absurd. So they have to hand trap you. You get to look at their hand, and the shuffle back isn't the broken part. It's the knowing 3 of their 4 cards that they're going to be playing with, right? Just knowing that they don't have, like, a droplets, or knowing they have a super poly, so you have to play around it or something, right? It's just absurd.
It sounds like you know from experience.
Yeah. Taking is how I actually won, like genuinely won the case tournament. The last play I did was take your monster and attack you for game with it. So draw 2 is actually secretly the worst option on this card, and the game tells you that because you get drolled and then you can't draw 2, so it's saying please pick the correct option. So just always look at their hand. Obviously there's lines where you can take and kill them, there's lines where you can draw, and like if your opponent's on nothing, you can just draw 2, and if you draw any 2 hand traps or any extend or literally anything, but realistically, look at hand, rip a card is the best option on this card. And then last 2 one-ofs, 1 for 1, and 1 Call by the Grave. This card ended up actually being so-so. It was better when I was hitting the Fire King with the Garunix than it was when I was hitting like Princess, because then I couldn't use my own Princess. So this was really only for hand traps and Garunix. I did end up having to hit a couple Princesses myself, which kind of sucked, but you know, we get there. I believe this is 41. Realistically, you could cut this or this to make it 40, or one of the 3 tactics, or trim on the hand traps. As for the engine, I think the engine is like perfect where it is. I just like it how it is. Moving on, we've got the Nib token that people kept giving me. The only link one you need, because it's actually 4 link ones over the course of the entire game. The 2 Ps, the 2 Charmers. These are just like absurd. Link 2s are so good, and they're so good. They're so good because you get handed a Nib token and you have Flamebirds and you link it to one of these and you just start winning the game. You just link Flamebirds in any of these. Like these are just like the cleanest way to out a Flamebird. This is actually the best way to out a Flamebird. Is if you play against Branded, they put a counter on your Flamebird to negate it, and then you tribute for this. That's actually the best Flamebird, but you know, that doesn't happen often.
Is there a reason you're not playing 2 SP?
Spacing.
Okay.
It's actually just spacing.
Okay. So if you could find the space, you would play the second one, but unfortunately,
yeah.
it's too
But
tight.
the problem is the space that I took out for this was for this, right? 2 Princess. It's just too good, and there's so many situations where people will crow or not crow. Yes, crow, not bell. Crow or called by your Princess, and just having the second one on deck is just so good, right? As well as taking it or spell trapping it when you don't have a clean way to get rid of it. Just having the second one is always good. You dedicate 3 slots in your extra for it, so like if one of them gets, if you only play one and it gets removed, now these slots fucking suck. So let's go on to that. The OTK for the Princess and then the end board for the Princess, they're kind of mandatory. Like, this is really good to keep in mind. You can go Ambla Whale and this. Anytime you're against Voiceless, you want to end on this, because they just main Super Poly like it's their job. Anytime you're against Branded, same thing. They'll main Super Poly. So after games 2 and 3, even if you didn't see it, you go this into this, always end on that, right? Just to prevent yourself from getting Super Poly for your life savings, at least when it's inopportune. This card's so funny. Like, this card and this card. So I'll go to my next one. We played the one flex spot. You always have 1 flex spot in this deck. I chose this to out things like towers, things that can't be targeted, or things that can't be properly affected. These are your 2 ways to out towers. This is the cleaner way. This is the ugly way, right? Because this requires you to crash your Flamebird or pop your Flamebird with this or something to get this back out, and then it's 58, and that kills every towers in the game. And then this obviously outs every towers, and then this is so easy to climb into. The best feeling is actually climbing into this, using your opponent's Flamebirds when they think they're safe, and then immediately negating the Flamebirds on Chainlink 1. It's just such a clean feeling. Well, sorry, Chainlink 3, because Chainlink 1 is this, actually dark ruling your opponent. Chainlink 2 is Flamebird, and then Chainlink 3 is you negating Flamebird. Very clean. You can also let Flamebirds resolve, by the way, because when they come out, they'll be negated. But sometimes you need to kill through the bodies. So that's why you negate with it. If they have like something else, obviously you can keep holding that. And this is just once per turn. So, and then the last 3 in the extra. Oh, 4. Apo. It's just like your proper end board anytime you can do it. Anytime you have like side cards, you really want to be ending on Apo because your side cards take care of the rest of it. So. Your end boards can either be Apo or this setup with the next 3 cards, which are Formula, Boral, and Baron. So your end boards are essentially your pick of 2 of these. This is always the correct first option, and then you pick between this and this, right? I guess I should not lie to you. It's between this and this, because this is also for IP, right? So you want to end on 2 of these. This being the primary, but when you get hand trapped or when you don't have access to original for any reason, it's these 2, which is still solid. This drawing a card drew so many tactics and so many wanteds, which I then activated because I hadn't used it, put on bottom, and then drew again so many times. This card is so good. I saw a list that just topped that wasn't playing this, and I can understand why. The only time you ever get to make this is with Diabellstar, whereas you can make this with, what's his name? Flamebirds, which you always, if you have a Snake Eyes, you have Flamebirds, but you don't always have access to Diabellstar. But the cracked line where you combo with this halfway, and then you end with like this anyway, it's just too good. Especially, you always get to end on this if you open Diabellstar and anyway into Ash. And when people are playing Breakers, ending on this, games 2 and 3, and then flipping an anti-spell actually just ends the game, just instantly. It's so clean. Because you're going to go, you do it in standby. Standby, activate anti-spell. So if they have wanted, you can force them into a draw line. If they have any kind of cosmic or droplets, they're forced to immediately start chaining them, where you can start dodging with these. And then between imperms and wanteds, you can play around droplets as well. These can't get super polyed, so once the anti-spell resolves, the Flamebird gets to move up in IP, and now you're just good for the game. Like, they just can't play there. Like, when you have this with an anti-spell, they've just lost the game. Like, you're answering every monster, you're answering every answer, so the deck is just good at putting up, you know, generic things. And then lastly, the side deck. The one last troll, because, you know, we need to have 3 somewhere in the main and the side. 3 Crows. I picked this over Bell. There's an argument for both. I just wanted to... I expected a lot of Fire King, which I actually didn't end up playing. I played more Mirror. Had I known that, this would have been Bell. But for Fire King, this is just so much better because the deck only has spots for 1 Promethean, and they only play 1 Garunix because it's such a brick. So rather than belling those cards and then having to deal with them again on the follow-up, if you just Crow them, even if you Crow both, because you can use both because it's not once per turn, you just don't have to deal with the problem again. Unfortunately, I played Mirrors, so this card ended up not being as great. It was still good. I still crowed some Prometheans, but then they just made another one. But that's where the Apollos and the Imperms came in. So, good. Could be Bell. Bell also has more applications into rogue matchups, such as Voiceless. They both hit Voiceless. This can't get chain blocked, but Bell can hit everything in Voiceless between the Prep, the Pre-Prep, and the Saphira. This can always hit low even if they chain block it, so that's why this was good. And then Bell has good applications at being a secondary Ash for the Wanteds, and a secondary Ash for the Big Welcome. So that's why there's a good reason for Bell, there's a good reason for Crow. 2 Prank. It's just really solid. Answers Appaloosas, answers SPs, answers IPs, answers Flameberg targets. It's big. Like, 26 is just large. Like, a 3-negate Appaloosa just literally can't handle this thing. So, yeah, 3 negates. 4 negates is when it gets a problem. I drew it twice. I won both games instantly when I slammed him. Like, going into Apple, you don't even have to crack this yet. You just go normal Ash, special this, normal Ash, Chainlink 1. They try to Apple the pop, you just chain and pop this, and literally they have to call by you. If they don't call by you, their Appaloosa is getting wrecked. If it was made by IP, obviously, you have to do different plays, but if it's made by IP, you just go target IP on summon, right? So, or target IP on effects. 3 of the best cards in the format. This is just actually disgusting. This was the best card. Every mirror match was won by this. Every Fire King match was won by this. The voiceless matches were won by this. It's just too good. This card's just too good. And then this in combination with your Flamebird is actually just pay 1,000 to banish any monster in the game, right? So it's essentially called by. If you target a card in grave that they're going to want for follow-up, put that spell trap zone, bonk it. They go Flamebird, target their IP, Flamebird, target the formula, bonk it. If they have a weird, if they feel like you nib them and they have the field spell and they go field spell, target the dude in spell trap, you just banish it and they just can't keep playing. So this card's actually the god card. I won my what do you call it? All my background matches because of these cards. These cards are just broken, right? You can occasionally like do things in the mirror match because they end on so many links, but it's like so-so. It's mostly these two. And then last card, Anti-Spell. I picked Anti-Spell over Summon Limit just because it answers more board breakers than Summon Limit. Like Summon Limit stops them from playing, and it's really really good to like flip on their attempted third summon when they go like normal, special, send, try to summon. You just flip a Summon Limit. But if you just Anti-Spell and then use your board to stop, they never get to that point, right? They never get to SP to try to banish it because Apo to Omnis, right? Doing it, and like I said, doing this in draw phase is really good, or outside of draw phase is really good because they're forced to chain wanteds, and that's when you can actually hit them with a droll and make it hurt, right? Because now you know what they have, and you know they're down. You know they can't, like the one that doesn't actually do anything because they go set original and then they're still under anti-spell, so it's just a body, and then you can just answer whatever they're trying to break this with. So it's really solid.
Oh, now you've already said everything that you could possibly change. Obviously, there's not many budget options, but can we expect you to win the 3v3 YCS?
I will not be playing the 3v3 YCS.
What?
Not a fan of 3v3 offense.
Very fair.
I'm more of a selfish player. No, I'm more of a self player. I don't want to be losing games or losing my teammate games because
Fair.
I bricked or I misplayed, and I don't want to like be in that position where like my friend is playing. I look away, I look back, and they made like a clear misplay or something that I saw that they didn't, but I didn't want to say it because anything you say to your teammates is public knowledge. You cannot like whisper or hide it. You can't even speak Spanish and they expect them to not speak Spanish because then they can call a judge and you need to speak English, right? Or whatever the language is of your area. It's just a lot of reasons why I'm not a big fan. I'm very happy that there's a YCS here. YCSs are a phenomenal time. They're very fun. I just won't be entering the main event. So
Very fair. But can we expect more of you on the channel with more deck profiles and such?
if I keep performing well, yeah.
George, you're gonna perform. All right, guys. Well, thank you, George, for that list. We really appreciate you. Again, you are one of the best players, if not arguably the best player in Vegas.
No,
and
whoa. We have world's competitors out here.
Hey, you almost there. You almost there. But again, guys, I hope you guys enjoyed. Please like, comment, subscribe, and we'll catch George later.